We go live to Venezuela at this moment as the General Attorney Tarek William Saab is giving statements at the moment.
So the prosecutor's office has been developing some investigations after the July 28th election that, according to all official reports, said that President Nicolás Maduro is the official president, and as we have been telling during this whole year and also in the 2023, as particularly from what we have known about the fraudulent primaries, they were saying that there was coming a kind of some violent actions after planned by the far-right wing. We at the Council of State and the Council of Defense on Monday, presided by President Nicolás Maduro, it's good to remember that description we made related to a long briefing, a long 40-page briefing, which revealed how, in time and place, after the report of the National Electoral Council, the only power based on constitutional law, which is required to issue the results, the electoral results, in between 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. on July 29th, and also during the July 30th, there was unleashed a wave of violence sponsored, and what I am going to recall today is extremely important. It has to do with what we said on Monday before the Council of State and the Council of Defense of the nation. That unleashed violence wave, which was applied by the so-called Comanditos, who were made up by criminals, drug addicts, who were used to burn down educative centers, health centers, comprehensive test centers, headquarters of the National Electoral Council of Mayor's Office, and our investigations points out that such criminals wanted to make a bloodbath in the country and to brought about a civil war, and they couldn't do it thanks to the police corps, to the prosecutor's office. We could dismantle this action, and we could dismantle and stop those actions in less than 48 hours. But I have to recall that all the 25 deaths are in charge of these Comanditos, and there is no single allegation. Past 3 weeks have passed by from these regrettable actions, and so any single claim from a victim, all victims have regretfully murdered by this far-right factor, and even from among the 25 people who were killed, they murdered 2 officials of the Bolivarian National Guard. I want to highlight that everything what I am telling now is grounded on 31 expertise audits, including technical examination and of several technical aspects as biological tech expertise, so autopsy protocols among others, and these all determined the legitimate use of criminal factors attached to plans and criminals who didn't care, as we could see on the video. And in all, we possessed 170 videos and 150 photos of all these perpetrators that incriminate, that evidenced the actions by the far-right factor. And I warn that it is regrettable that media outlets, international media outlets, said that these 25 deaths were from peaceful protests, and they weren't peaceful protests, but they were violent acts, and these Comanditos killed innocent people, and they wanted to bring about, to burst out a civil war, as they want to take over the country, whatever it takes. And I said that the education system was really affected. 34 colleges were destroyed, headquarters of the National Electoral Council, headquarters of several political institutions, 38 substations were burned down, 12 patrol cars were destroyed, 15 motorbikes, police motorbikes, and 192 people were injured, and 97 people injured belong to the security corps, 32 to the National Guard. So tell me, how can we describe these acts as peaceful protests? And these are criminal and terrorist acts led by by criminal groups attached to this neo-Nazi far-right wing, as the Tren del Llano gang, among others. And the important thing is that the prosecutor's office has been detained a lot of criminals convicted and confessed, and so we are charging these criminals with arson, terrorism crimes, and this preamble was necessary because the disguises must be taken off, and there mustn't be lies about these criminal actions that our homeland have been suffering, byproduct of the insanity of the neo-Nazi far-right, daughter of the neo-Nazi, and so they wanted to install all these hate, and they already said before elections that elections weren't important, but these violent actions were the target. And so let's see the actors who they were just disgusting, the actions that these people have committed, the crimes. And so the prosecutor's office have determined that subjects attached to criminal gangs in which we presented some evidence, some videos of the Tren del Llano gang. They were involved to... We are going to show 3 confessions of three subjects who were processed for crimes, and they have been processing for murder, kidnapping, rapes. And what do you think would be the link? Well, it was a murderer and right hand of Leopoldo Lopez, known as alias Gilbert Caro, because that name seems like an alias too. They were linked to this subject, these gangsters, to commit some crimes after July 28th elections. And we are going to talk about the detention of another subject whose weapons were seized, and these weapons were about to be used on Saturday's plan. And so first, the first one has to do with Martinez, and this subject is detained, charged with kidnapping and murder, and he confessed how he talked with murderer Gilbert Caro, and we have some telephone conversations, in which they mentioned how they plan to commit some crimes. Let's see it. My name is Luis Alberto Llanes Martinez. My ID is 13 million, and I am detained in Rodeo prison for kidnapping and rape. I am at prison since 2017, and in this call he told me, well, I talked to Leopoldo Lopez, and I recognized him as leader, and in those days we faced a hunger strike, and we asked him to tell us some words, and Leopoldo and so Leopoldo said that he supported us, and he told me that everything I need he will provide it for me. And he said that that money was sent by Leopoldo, and the other criminals were with us. And 15 days after the strike, his phone was seized. And after that time, in 2019, when he was released, I contacted him by Instagram, and we were talking, and Gilbert Caro told me about political stuff and the everyday of what was happening before elections. 2 days earlier elections, he told me that everything is fine, and that when he was the first Minister of Justice, he would help me. After elections on July 31st, he told me that I had a mission, that he needed people, youngsters, to go to a Alpon at the headquarters of the National Electoral Council to burn that down, and that I have to order those people to burn down this venue. And so he wanted to collect people in prison, from prisons, to go on a strike and not to recognize the results of the National Electoral Council's own elections. And so he wanted to collect people to go to take to the streets with weapons, with everything, to confront the National Guard, and all were financed by them, with Leopoldo at top, and that I have to get people from wherever place, wherever. And so I told him that they are paying us off for getting people, for getting to riots. And in the penitentiary, I just said I was looking for people there, and on behalf of Gilbert, well, count on that. I will go on that mission, and I just got contact with Petares people, and just I received money from November up to today. I just got around 20 grand dollars, and Raton and other people got money too. So all of this was managed by Leopoldo Lopez, and I received $5,000 by Gilbert for doing all these crimes, for committing all these crimes. It is really disgusting, all this. A gift that he received, thousands of dollars he received, and nothing more surprised us, because he just tell us exactly what happened. So let's do the math that this far-right political group that is stemming from a gang, and I have told that in several press briefings. So, from which comes the 20 Venezuela? From an evil movement, who were the intellectual authors of the media entrepreneur coup against Commander and President Hugo Chavez. They read the communique earlier. Carmona, on April 10th, went live by the media, when Jorge, alongside Capriles and Leopoldo Lopez, launched that proclamation earlier the Carmonazo. And so all that people were training, because the imperialism didn't feel comfortable with other criminals, and so they trained all those babies, sons of Pinochet and Mussolini, who feel a lot of hate for popular masses. And so let's recall those guarimbas of 2003 and of what we could see in 2013 when they didn't want to recognize the victory of President Nicolas Maduro. And those guarimbas of 2017, all those people came from that, and they are terrible, evil and way of seeing the Venezuelan people. Those are, who is the main counselor of this neo-Nazi group for this escalation? It is a murderer as a Gilbert. It is a crime shame. He even was posted as a parliamentarian. He was really involved in all the violent actions of 2017. And if this prosecutor's office weren't here, if we came back to that corrupted prosecutor's office of the past, this would be the guarimbas would occur again, would have occurred again. And so the murders from these Comanditos would reach a huge figure. So, and it is there the confession of these monsters known as alias Valle, who is in prison for kidnapping, rape, and he has been prosecuted by multiple crimes as extortion, forgery. And so these are the political operators of this criminal phase, which fortunately we have defeated. And he mentioned another subject known as Rola Fernando Mendoza Castillo. He's alias Santa Rosa. He was also invited to participate in violent and terrorist actions. And he reviewed that he was contacted and linked by this alias Valle by direct instructions of Gibel Cab. And I want to recall that this subject you are about to see, alias Santa Rosa, was prosecuted in 2016, charged with murder. All these are murderers, and let's see the video now. Let's see the confession of alias Santa Rosa. My name is Ronald Mendoza, ID, and I am alias Santa Rosa. I am recruited in the penitentiary center in Martinez. On July 31st, after elections, we were in the house, and me and some partners, we were hanging out. They offered me that to help them to go to the streets to commit some vandalism and to disregard the National Electoral Council's results, and to help him collect people, and so they were giving me money. Again, it appears the name of this criminal, Gilbert Caro. And so we have opened a new file to him because of all these elements. And so we are doing justice and immediate justice on real time. And they mention another subject, alias Raton. This criminal was contacted by the gangster Valle by the instructions of Gilbert Caro, and this alias El Raton has a creepy record. In 2016, was detained for drug trafficking, for voluntary manslaughter, and this alias El Raton, known as the Uribana, known by the Uribana gangster. So let's see the confession of alias El Raton. And he was linked by Gilbert Caro. My name is Nelson Alejandro Barreto Reyes. My ID 2720. I am alias Raton. I am at the penitentiary center, and I knew him at the Carabobo prison on July 31st. Luis Llanes called me and told me that he needed me to get people to cause some disturbances in the streets, and he offered me some money. So it is very clear the names that appeared constantly, and who were the masterminds, and they told that they were going to the end. And there it is, the names. We have the names. People attached to criminals, terrorists, delinquents. So no one must be surprised that because González Urrutia is attached alongside Leopoldo Castillo, when they were both diplomats in El Salvador, they were involved with the deaths of 7 religious people. And it is publicly said. No one must be surprised. So this subject, alias El Raton, named Nelson Barreto, and they were talking with Gilbert Caro. For you to have an idea, we have made the telephone conversation. We have recorded telephone conversations, and we are going to show a video call by Gilbert Caro and Nelson, in which they talked about the meeting with Maria Machado, and this team was involved in the actions, in the crimes, in the acts of July 31st. And so they asked for support for Gilbert Caro to provide them some logistics. And to alias Valle, he is on a WhatsApp group to support the presidential candidate of neo-Nazi Edmundo González and Maria Corina team. We will about to see these telephone conversations. Let's go. Let's see. There you can see the chats, the conversations between Gilbert Caro and the gangster alias Valle, in which they are chatting broadly about how the actions were on July 31st. They were estimated on July 30, a bloodbath in the country, and fortunately they were stopped on real time. The plan was dismantled, and we can see the second screenshot in which, as I said, these criminals talk about getting some people for committing criminal acts. And as we can see here, the WhatsApp group that they created for this Sir Luis Humberto Yáñez, alias Valle, linked with the whole mob to support the candidacy with criminal records violating human rights and Mundo González. So I think it is crystal clear, with the due audits, examinations, technical examinations on the telephone calls, besides the confessions of these criminals who have been detained, and they continue talking and confessing of what was about to happen. But it's not enough of what I mentioned. We have to recall that Gilbert Caro, he highlighted he was an outstanding terrorist. First, he was detained in 2017 for bearing weapons on his car. In 2019, he participated in vandalizing actions to alter the public order. In 2021, he was involved in criminal actions in Caracas, and he was sentenced for murdering an innocent person. So let's see his political leaders, his political heads. It is unbelievable how someone could go side by side to a murderer and introduce him as almost a prophet, because he said that he was introduced as a successor of all saints. Imagine how much insanity in that. Let's see the case of Cactagon case. Attached to all this I have mentioned, it is something despicable right now. Well, the president of the Republic, Nicolás Maduro, and other justice organs have disseminated the distribution of Cactagon drug to make mad people. And well, you have seen all videos. We have disseminated lots of videos. They just broadcasted live how they murdered and burned down buildings, murdered people. But the President of the Republic, the day of the Council of State, on Monday, when we were transmitting on social media the video that the prosecutor's office did, well, we were censured and we were banned from TikTok. It is something disgusting. But these people, these criminals, when they video recorded how they burned and how they launched hate speeches and urging for killing and murdering people, the owners of these platforms of X, they don't ban them. So what are we talking about? What regulations, what community regulations are we talking about? If these terrible things are happening, if these criminals are talking about exterminating and killing and they aren't banned and they are against the honor of the Venezuelan family, I want to highlight what Cartagon did damages to the body. Well, the drug is alongside methamphetamine, and they really stimulate the system, the nervous system. It increases and prolongs the alert capacity, and it suppresses hunger, among others. So on the Petares parish, it was detained. José Luis Miranda Consuegra was arrested, and he was a Colombian citizen, and he had 40,000 units of Cartagon drug, and that person was presented before the court, and the prosecutor's office charged him with drug trafficking. So let's see him on the photo to see who is the subject, in which he is known as José Luis Miranda Consuegra. There you see him. He is a Colombian citizen. He was arrested in Petares with 4,000 units of Cartagon drug. I have to mention that this subject, according to ongoing investigations, he belonged to the Chido, and they intended to use this drug to perpetrate terrorist acts in an opposition action on Saturday, August 17. He doesn't care about drugging some people and causing deaths and injured, and then blamed the Venezuelan state for it. And so this subject was arrested. This subject, as the three gangsters before, they were detained, and again they were processed for the crimes that I have mentioned, and we are continuing on investigations. And let's see the photo of the seized drug, the 4,000 units. There you can see the drug. There, it is unbelievable. These people don't mind anything, everything with the purpose of damaging us, of damaging the Venezuelan people. I want to highlight that the prosecutor's office has this subject. As you can see, he is detained. There you can see him. The drug has been seized and everything that I am showing you doesn't end here. I want to point out that everything I am showing is part of an ongoing investigation, which in the upcoming days we are going to reveal the advances. These are the two cases that I wanted to show you, with the important preamble, decisive preamble of the actions of these terrorist groups. I reiterated here that the 25 murders are the responsibility of these so-called Comanditos attached to the far-right sector, who didn't care, killing these 25 innocents. And there's a question. Good afternoon. Journalist Luis Guillermo Garcia from telesur. Thank you very much. I am Venezuelan, but I represent an international channel, teleSUR. I appreciate well, there are about three questions I want to ask. Well, because I have been chatting with some people, and I have been collecting some questions from people, and there are three fundamental questions on the media. You presented recently a thorough report before the Council of State and the Council of Defense, and after that we have some doubts. What reactions do state authorities have regarding this, and do you plan to place this to present this report to the United Nations? And concerning the cases that you have mentioned of the 25 deaths and an important figure of injured, and the majority are victims, officials or militants of the Bolivarian process, and none of these victims belong to the far-right opposition. So it calls this calls the attention. So who are behind all these crimes? You have mentioned some, but it seems like a mixed action. And so in that sense, are the material and intellectual authors be sentenced? And so it would be very useful if these fatal crimes are attached to the responsible of the cyber attack. And I don't know if the prosecutor's office has been victim of the attack. Well, thank you very much for all your questions, for your questionnaire that collects the hesitation of your colleagues. Well, we are going to present alongside the Truth Forces this briefing, and we are documenting and updating. The prosecutor's office is updating this data, and we added the texts and the annexes that have to do with the sequence of time, place of each of the incidents, and the photos, and the third file of photos. Obviously, to the international organizations, we are going to present, and I confirm you that we are going to present a summary of all this. We are going to go to all international forums to tell the truth of Venezuela relating these incidents with all evidence that we have. I could mention the United Nations, the penal court of The Hague, with all the evidence, with all the evidence that we have, and we are going to do it, because as I said, that the audits, the expertise audits are just irreversible. And regarding the report presented this Monday before the Council of State of the nation, obviously has to do with the second question. You were pointing out about the responsible. Of course, they are attached to political actors of the right wing. They were the authors who sponsored before July 28th. I would say that since October 2023, when they committed the fraudulent primaries, and I had evidence that they placed a fake figure of attendees there. And after the July 28th, they bought a website, they purchased a website on the internet in which they posted fake tally sheets in which dead people vote, and they thought they could repeat that criminal actions of last year. And obviously all these crimes were uncovered, and today the electoral chamber and the prosecutor's office is participating, and the attorney. We are just all doing the due examinations and to validate all those investigations and that validate the victory of President Nicolas Maduro. And all these criminal actions are related to these far-right actors, and the names are El Mundo González, María Corina Machado, and we have evidence, and I communicate that. We have more evidence about the linking between Victoria Lopez with Gilbert Caro, and they were searching to put into practice all more criminal actions, and then the majority of the opposition sector who participated on elections who weren't relating to violent actions are completely disappointed about each of these actions. Well, they have to be psychopaths to continue with this, and I would conclude that we opened the due files, and we have elements that prove the time, place in which it occurred. After I just gave a press conference detailing everything, and they placed their plan to attack this. Unfortunately, we have been resilient. Obviously, there were cyber attacks against the prosecutor's office, and we have been recovering numerous of accounts, and the country is completely in calm. Everything is going normal, and it is a big point in favor of our guard and in favor of our Venezuelan state regarding defending the human rights peace. Thank you very much.
And we were listening to General Attorney of Venezuela, Tarek William Saab, who gave an update on the investigations regarding the violent events that took place after the elections of July 28th. In this context, Saab discussed the evidence against the so-called Comanditos and their participation in a series of criminal acts, including first-hand testimonies. He highlighted that according to the prosecutor's office, these actions were organized by the extreme far-right groups that sought to destabilize the nation.